Okay, make a quick video. Say hello to my little friend Vladimir Putin first. Vladimir Putin's there chilling. So we had a lot going on. Last week was pretty eventful. What I want to focus on, we had some elections. First election that came through the pike was the South Africa election. Basically, the long-running, long-ruling holder of the majority, ANC, African National Congress, basically lost their majority for the first time. My opinion on this is not only has the ANC run the country really badly, but I think a lot of pressure came down on them behind the scenes after the ICJ, International Court of Justice case went through. I think that a lot of soft money and dark money went against the ANC at that point. I think a lot of pro-Israel groups really supported the opposition there. So I think that's part of the story as well. We had Modi just win an election, and he's not quite as good as expected, but he still has a pretty much a mandate, although he has to form a coalition. So Modi wins for a third term, first time in maybe only the second. I think he's only the second president, according to what I was reading, to get a third term, or second prime minister, I guess, to get a third term. But today we had the EU election. So this has been a highly anticipated event. It was widely anticipated that the far right, in air quotes, would win. And I use air quotes because when they say far right for a lot of these parties over there, what they really mean is, in American terms, centrist Democrats. Blue dog Democrats, essentially. Of course, the most dramatic thing that happened today was Marine Le Pen's National Rally, I guess is what it's called, party, won big and really just knocked out Macron's party. So much so that Macron decided, at the news of how badly his party lost, to dissolve the government and call snap elections, which are going to be coming down the pike here in a week or so, a couple weeks, or maybe by the end of the month. So very dramatic situation happening there in France. Of course, Giorgia Meloni's party scored very well in Italy. And in Germany, the AfD, I guess the most right of these right-wing parties, definitely much more extreme than the other two, won pretty big in Germany, getting about 19% of the vote. Now, I've been seeing, let me find this article real quick. So here we have The Guardian basically telegraphing everything we need to know right here. Meloni could be kingmaker. So basically they're saying that Meloni is going to be our controlled opposition. And this is what I want to get into really in this relatively short video. All of these far-right groups or far-right parties are far-right in name only. They call themselves nativist. Here we have an article from last year basically saying that Giorgia Meloni has not been able to do anything about illegal immigration. That was her number one promise. On top of that, she is super pro-NATO, super pro-Ukraine, and super pro-Israel. Not really what I would consider nationalist. I mean, I can see getting away, and she's actually pro-EU, it seems. And I've seen articles in the past where she seems to be eyeing a sort of future as a politician within the EU on the EU Commission. So she is far right in name only. And you've seen how when she was running for prime minister, she was being touted as some sort of Hitlerian figure. Then once she won, the media really toned down. Okay, so it was all drama. It was all theater. Okay, they actually didn't mind her winning. Same thing happened with Milei. Milei was drawing a lot of negative media coverage, and then he wins. He pledges his fealty to Israel and Ukraine, and then the media likes him. Even though with Milei, he's a little bit more of a problem. I guess they're a little bit more ambivalent towards him because he's very much he seems to be trying to do drastic cuts to government in uh, Argentina, and the media definitely doesn't like that because these are basically deep state operatives in the media, generally speaking, in the mainstream media. And of course, they're not going to like anybody doing government cuts anywhere in the world. They want more government everywhere because, generally speaking, they're very cozy with the deep states in their respective countries and internationally. So, Georgia Maloney is a fake right winger in all respects. She actually is getting a divorce with her husband too, I think. Um, Marine Le Pen. I think I had a story here. Let me see if I could find it. So Marine Le Pen denounced just not too long ago, only a couple of weeks ago, denounced the Germany's AfD over a remark made by one of these guys. I guess this guy. Now, what's amazing about this is they made all of this fuss, and what the guy said is really quite logical. There's nothing wrong with it. He says, if you're I don't know where this conversation comes up. This is one of those situations where he probably just said, let's not talk about this. But somewhere he said, not all Waffen SS soldiers were war criminals by definition. It's very common sense. Many people in the German military in World War II, or many Germans, especially outside of Germany, Germans outside of Germany, were conscripted into the Waffen SS. And not all of them committed war crimes per se. So just being an SS soldier doesn't necessarily make you a war criminal. That's what he was saying. Well, the media takes this all out of context, and here comes Marine Le Pen, knowing that this was taken out of context, announcing a clean break with the AfD. She's also very pro-Israel, very pro-NATO. She's pledged her allegiance to Ukraine. She's all of the Eurocentric sort of policies that people are upset about, she supports. Same thing with, finally, Donald Trump. So this is where we're wrapping it back to the United States. Donald Trump, in this election cycle, has definitely changed his sort of tone, especially when it regards NATO. He doesn't even talk about NATO much anymore. He's, as here, pledged his support for Ukraine, at least for a moment, and who knows what his actual intentions are. I would say it's just as likely that he's going to escalate the Ukraine war as not. What I'm getting at here is what is happening with these EU elections is it's not that Europe is shifting right. I mean, maybe Europe is shifting right, marginally, on paper. I guess you could say that. They're electing people who they think are going to do relatively right-wing things. In reality, none of these people, Marine Le Pen, Meloni, what was the other one in Germany? The AfD. AfD only got 19% of the vote in Germany. Okay, now this is a bellwether for maybe them gaining a lot of power, but the Christian Democratic Union, which is the sort of like the Democrat, they're sort of like the centrist Democrats of Germany, they got 30% of the vote, okay? So Germany's policies, Germany's electoral landscape isn't shifting dramatically anytime soon. You still have Merkel's party, the Christian Democrats, being the largest party in the country, okay? So the AfD is going to be basically a sideshow. I expect that, the Meloni and Marine Le Pen people will not want anything to do with them. They will be ostracized, and they will be the butt of a lot of negative coverage in the media. And the people that are going to be running shit are the fake right-wingers, Giorgia Meloni and Marine Le Pen. What's happening here? What is happening in this world? I'll tell you what's happening. The deep states of the United States and Europe are sensing a shift in the breeze. They understand that the left-wing sort of politics, the deep state and the oligarchy, the oligarchs and the deep state and all these people that tacitly work together to give us our actual policies, they see that the shit-lib sort of politics of the last decade or so with its, sort of identity politics and its victim culture and this sort of shit lib sort of mentality is becoming unpopular. What's really happening, not only is Europe shifting right, but the deep state of the United States, Europe, the Five Eyes, the big transnational sort of Bilderberg sort of mafia is also going into the corner of the right wing politicians saying, hey, the liberal sort of hegemony, the liberal sort of mindset, the climate, maybe they'll start a bit hopefully, they'll start abandoning the climate scam. All of this, trans and gay rights and all that, they're going to abandon that because they can see what's happening. They can see that the population is rejecting this. So you see them covering their losses and placing their bets in the right wing. And they've already infiltrated Marine Le Pen's people. They've already infiltrated Donald Trump's people. They've already infiltrated Giorgia Meloni. So what you see happening right now is basically the deep state, and you can see this in the media coverage. The deep state is going into the corner of the right wing politics, and they're going to get what they want out of them. Okay, they're going to continue the proxy wars. They're going to continue the immigration. The immigration's not going to stop because the oligarchs want it, and they're going to continue all of these other shit policies that people think they're voting against in Europe in these EU elections. For some reason, boomers, who are the primary voters, still insist on believing what politicians say. I mean, how can any self-respecting Italian conservative actually consider Meloni a conservative, actually consider Meloni anti-immigration if that's what they want, or in any way nativistic after her? She's already been in office for 2 years, but you had the boomers go and vote for Meloni. You see the same thing happening in France. All of the French boomers are basically going to Le Pen, thinking that they're voting for change, but they're not. They're not voting for change. What they're voting for is a deep state that has moved into the right-wing politics, is what's happening. So that's my commentary on the EU elections. In other words, nothing will change. If Donald Trump wins the election this year, you don't hear him talking about draining the swamp like he used to. So anybody who believes that he is going to do anything like he was promising in 2016, you're fooling yourselves. The deep state has already infiltrated all of these groups. I'm out.